Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We're about to commence. Good morning. Good morning. First of all, let's give a round of applause to all the dancers last night. Especially the delegation from India. Where are the Indians in the room? Oh, they're all asleep. You see, I could tell. They're all resting. Fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 3 of the 2017 World Forum on Early Caring Education. Please join me in welcoming your Masters of Ceremony for this morning, Marjorie Mitra, World Forum, and Bob Manning for the World Forum Board of Directors of the United States. Welcome. Come on up. Marjorie is also a global leader and a national rep from Bangladesh.
Manjusri and I feel honored to be asked to welcome you this morning, but I feel a little strange to be standing up here offering a welcome to the most welcoming people on the face of the earth. I was only going to take a minute and a half. Now I'm going to be too long, right? But you welcome each other, you honor each other every time you meet in a way that is far more than any words that we can say, even though Manjusri is great. Anything we can say up here from the stage. At this point, even those who are the newest among us have had the experience of being welcomed and honored by everyone you meet. That is the way of the World Forum. Bill Bowen was the longtime president of Princeton University, which is a major university in my country. He died recently, but he left behind some words of power and affirmation that apply to the World Forum. Institutions, he said, exist to magnify the efforts of individuals in great causes. Institutions exist only to magnify the results, the efforts of individuals in great causes. That is what the World Forum does every day. We see it every day. And every day as we welcome each other, as we honor each other, as we learn from each other, we magnify our own efforts in the great cause which we serve, the cause of the world's children. So in that spirit, I can offer you a welcome to Day 3 of the World Forum 2017. Now, Manjusri is going to tell us about the first of the great things that are going to happen today.
Yes, thank you. I am really excited to be here with you all, and hope you are also enjoying like me. So a big welcome to you all again. So welcome. Yes, thank you. Yeah. The World Forum, it's our World Forum. It's always welcome diversities. We all came from different diversified geographical locations, diversified professionals, and with cultural diversities. So that is the beauty of the World Forum. Now a wonderful performer group is waiting to perform dance, and they are delegates from Cochin Baptist Group from Myanmar. Now let's welcome to Cochin delegates from Myanmar. Let's a big applause to them. Yes.
经破解了哇，历史不闹朋友渺小你را，的天空天你空เราเรื่องจากเดินเดินเจ้าข้าไอลักงามวยมวยประเจกโตนานี่ครุ่งต้นบาเจินจงคิงชื่อรถมันเนาไอโอราเอโอราโอราราเอโอราหลักไหลจงคิงมัดไอวันปองชาดีอาเด็กนั่นไรก็จะมาสิ่งยึดจงงากาไอหลักไหลจงคิงชื่อรถกาลูอ้อจงคิงมัดไอวันปองชาดีอาเด็กนั่นไรก็จะมาสิ่งยึดจงงากาไอหลักไหลจงคิงชื่อรถกาลูอ้อ
We talked earlier about the way the World Forum magnifies the efforts of individuals in the cause of the world's children. One of the most important ways that the World Forum does this is through the Global Leaders Program. The Global Leaders Program was conceived about 10 years ago by Joan Lombardi. It's been nourished by the World Forum Foundation, particularly by the heart and soul of Roger and Bonnie. Global Leaders are currently led by Mark Elliott, who had some really big shoes to fill, but he filled them. And so Mark is here to tell us about this morning's program. Mark?
Good morning, everyone. Good to be with you today. Excited for my friends and I to join you and talk about leadership today. I'm the program director of the Global Leaders Program for the World Forum Foundation and also the chief executive officer of Community Development Institute. So, you know, it was 26 years ago, almost exactly, that I arrived in Asunción, Paraguay, to serve a 2-year mission for my church. I was going to live there for 2 years. And I remember my first day in this new country. It's the first time I'd ever left the United States where I lived. And I couldn't understand a thing anybody said, not one word. Even though I studied Spanish, I could say Spanish words, but there was just not even anything. I remember going to get some paperwork processed, and I was in a hallway, and a woman came up and started speaking to me, and it was a different language. It wasn't the Spanish that I thought I knew. And it was one of those powerful moments in my life where I was just really humbled. And through, my immersive experience of, living in a different country for 2 years, just developed a powerful love for the Paraguayan people. And it's the first time in my life I really started looking outside of myself and really, just truly understood culture. So Maria Bird, if you're out there, bye Chapa. It was after that experience I developed this itch to experience and just understand more, to travel. And, those opportunities take something from us. And it's something that requires effort and putting ourselves in the unknown and the uncomfortable. It takes us out of our homes. Another really formative experience was becoming a father to one beautiful daughter, and then a second. My second daughter, Grace, was born with Down syndrome, which we did not know until she was born. And it was a shock at first, and something that was surprising to us, and has been just a wonderful journey. Grace is now 14, my oldest daughter's 17. And every center, early childhood center I've ever been in, I always think to myself, would this be a good place for Grace to be? So those, for me, are formative experiences that led to, my passion for early childhood, my passion for global leadership. I started, after deciding I wanted to do something to support families and children, started working at a local NGO, a local nonprofit in the United States, where worked with children in poverty and children with special needs, and had just a wonderful experience working at that level with so many great families. But this itch was still there. I would find ways to volunteer or do things that were international in nature. I volunteered at the Salt Lake City Winter Olympics in the United States years ago. I looked for ways to try to do things. When I found over the years that leadership happens when you just put yourself out there and you just say, well, what about me? It's usually doesn't come from credentials. It doesn't come from a degree or a diploma. It happens in relationship with others. I remember wanting to work for an organization I'd done some consulting with, Community Development Institute. Had worked with them a little bit, and there was a time where it just felt like I wanted to have a national impact in the United States. And I remember approaching one of my friends there and basically said, how about me? Is there a way for me to, work full-time with you? And they said, yes. It's amazing. When you surprise yourself, you ask questions and then people say yes. You're like, really? I remember my friend Tish, who's here, several years back, came to me and said, CDI, we want to sponsor some global leaders. Do you have any recommendations of who we may, because I did a lot of work in Puerto Rico with programs there at the time, and it was interesting. My response was, well, how about me? And the answer was, well, yeah. You know, it's one of those times where you just put yourself out there. You ask questions. It's like asking somebody on a date that you're not sure, you think they're out of your class, and you just ask, and then when they say yes, you're like, wow, okay. My daughter just asked somebody on a date last week to the prom, and it's kind of like that sometimes. So it's not, for me, it's never been, I'm so knowledgeable, I'm the expert. It's usually just been having a desire that's born from my passion, from my own experience, and wanting to have an impact and asking, what about me? After I served my time as a global leader, I was having a conversation with Bonnie and asked, I'd like to do more. Could I do some mentoring? It was like, what about me? And I started doing some more. 3 years ago in San Juan, there was a need to have a coordinator for the Global Leaders Program. And I went back to my executive director at CDI and said, could you pay me a portion of my time to just do this? Again, asking for a big date, and it was like, yes. Great things happen when we just say, what about me? When we put ourselves out there, when we just take our passion, we step into it. And our global leaders that we have here are great examples of just people who are just good people who just say, what about me? CDI is the organization. I'm now the CEO. I'm the Chief Executive Officer. And we care about leadership and networks and building capacity, which is one of the reasons we sponsor and serve as the secretariat now for the global leaders. CDI has been around since 1970, do a lot of leadership development, and we're, reaching out more internationally and helping work with networks and leadership. The Global Leaders Program is an inspiring program. It started in 2004, as Bob mentioned. Since that time, we've had 7 classes of global leaders. On the stage here, we have representatives from 6 of those classes of global leaders. We have all 7 here in the audience. And in that time, 203 global leaders have gone through the program from 61 countries. And each of these global leaders takes on something that is challenging, an advocacy project. They take on leadership. They learn together. They are curious. And actually, it's 69 countries now that we have. One of the things that is exciting this week, we've got 30 global leaders from our current class representing 21 countries. You've probably seen them. They're all over the place. And alumni are on the board. Manjusri, who's the MC today. Singh, who just did the beautiful dance. You can't get away from them in the World Forum. They're everywhere. And it's just a group of people who, each of them have said, what about me? Born from passion, from their own experience for children, born from a desire to expand and do more. For me, that's a part of leadership, is just stepping into something more and just saying, what about me? Our session today, we've got a wonderful panel. Each of them are going to share stories about leadership from their perspective. My friend Nandita from Sri Lanka from the 5th class of global leaders, Maria Teresa from Brazil, the 4th class, Sinisha Sinad from Croatia, who's in the current class of global leaders, Rana from Lebanon from the 3rd class, Analese from Fiji from the 4th class, Kolani from Swaziland in the 6th class, and Yvonne from Mexico from our first class. So I'm excited for you to hear from each of my friends. Also on your seat, there's a bookmark that has information about the global leaders. If anybody's interested in becoming part of the next class in 2018, come talk to me. If you're, we're starting to look for sponsors and recruiting for new countries. We're excited what can happen when somebody just says, "What about me?" So, all right, Nandita.
Thank you, Mark, for sharing your inspiring story with us today. Ivan, I wish you all a long life. While I was watching the video about young children rights showed here yesterday, I went back to my childhood. I spent a good childhood in a village about 30 kilometers away from Colombo, which is the the main city in Sri Lanka. I enjoyed love, care, and affection from my family and siblings and the other community around me. And I enjoyed education, play, and having relationships with family and friends and community. Unfortunately, at the same time, I had to spend a childhood in a society which was affected by violence and conflict. So, I raise a provocation for you to think about. It is, how could a girl child from a village from Sri Lanka, how could a girl child from a society which affected by conflict and violence could become a global leader for the whole world? And also the other provocation is, what elements would have supported a child to grow up to be a global leader? So, in order to respond to these provocations, I am going to share my story with you today. I share my story today with you to do two things. First is to convince that it is possible. Yes, it is possible. The second is to share some of the elements that I think has been important for me to become a global leader that you see today. Okay. So first I will share the elements that actually have been helpful for me to become the global leader today. So from my experience, I would say the first element is love, care, and support. Love and care from the family, and support from the family and all of those who are around you. The second element is belief. The belief that you can do what you do if you have the commitment and if you have that effort to do it. The third is education. Like many children from Sri Lanka, I also believe that education will lead and give the pathway to me to become the person that I wanted to be. Now my story. My parents' love and care and their support, affection, and support for growth and development helped me to my growth and development. In addition, the free education in Sri Lanka helped me to gain skills and knowledge that's needed to become a leader. I started my career as a lecturer, but it wasn't for long. That's because the 2004 tsunami disaster and escalated conflict in Sri Lanka had impacted on me. I saw thousands of children who were affected by the loss of caregivers, loss of their houses, loss of their community, and loss of their village. I shared the suffering the children and families were going through. At that point, I believed that I could do more than teaching about young children's rights and child protection. Therefore, I felt I need to go away from my comfort zones, and I started working for non-government agencies. That's where my journey for advocacy for young children and families and children, for all children and families in adverse contexts started. However, it's the World Forum, in particular, the Global Leader Program that influenced me to become the early childhood advocate you see now. The World Forum Foundation selected me as a global leader and gave this training that's needed for me to become the global leader in early childhood. Remember, it's a global leader in early childhood. This is the element of support. The passion for young children that the Global Leader Program has was so contagious. And I was highly influenced, if not was a victim by it. As a result, by the time I completed my Global Leader Program, I wanted to do something greater for the early childhood sector as a whole. And I chose the difficult path, if I would say. I chose to do a PhD in early childhood. This is the element of education that I mentioned before. Through the relationships I developed with the World Forum Foundation again, thanks to World Forum, Professor Jacqueline Hayden introduced me to the Macquarie University in Sydney. And the Macquarie University in Sydney offered me a scholarship to do a PhD in early childhood. Once again, I took the risk of leaving a well-stable and prestigious job that I was doing at that time and started chanting an uncharted territory. That's a PhD in early childhood. Not only I, my supportive husband and my lovely kids also shared the burden of that sacrifice and that risk and accompanied me to Sydney. And we all started a new life away from about 1,000 kilometers away from my lovely country. Some asked at that time, why do you want to do a PhD in early childhood? And then I answered, well, it's because I want to learn more about young children. Then some were even brave enough to ask, okay, what are you going to do after you get your PhD in early childhood? Well, I said, I don't know. But inside me, I knew. And I strongly believe that higher education in early childhood will equip me with the skills and knowledge and power to become a much stronger global leader in early childhood. I wanted to show it than say it. That's the element of belief. Now, I'm glad to tell you the time has come to show that the sacrifices I and my family did for my PhD in early childhood is not a waste. I have used my research findings in advocacy forums and also in publications and in my teaching at Macquarie University and some other places. And also, I will be using this education that I received in early childhood in many ways that are going to come. That's the third element, the element of education. I will continue to use my knowledge and skills to give leadership to support young children and families, not just in my country, but around the world. I will continue to stand up for the rights of young children and families, and I will work for young children and families whenever the opportunity comes. Remember, once a global leader, always a global leader.
Good morning, everybody. It's very good to be here, and I hope I can share some of my story with you too, as a global leader. I'm going to start with my own story, of course. I was born in Salvador, Bahia, a city in the northeastern part of Brazil, a wonderful city surrounded by the ocean on one side and a bay on the other side. It's the first capital, it's a historical city, and it's a very loving place to be. I was born in a family that didn't have any economical, we didn't have, never had any economic problems or financial. And I feel very fortunate for that because I had nothing to do with it. I was just born there. And my parents were very open, we grew up in a very outspoken family and very active in society and towards the community issues. So since I was very little, I was very much aware that I was a privileged person. And there was a lot of inequity in my country. Brazil is a huge country, beautiful country, very rich country, but very unequal, very unjust. We have a lot of people who can't get a hold of any of the cultural benefits of living in this place. And I was aware of that. My family made me aware of that. We knew this in the house, and we talked about it. And my parents were active in things that could change society. And so that's where I grew up. And lots of books, lots of ideas, sharing with writers, artists, painters. And this made me think about that I had to do something, that I was obliged to do something to change things in the place I live. So when I was a young student, high school student, we had a coup d'etat and a military dictatorship. And my parents were very upset and worried about it. And I just had to be in the student movement. So I did all the manifestations. I was in the student councils. And I ran from the police. I ran from the dogs. I never went underground. And I think that was part of the wisdom of my parents. They didn't say anything, but I didn't go as far as some of my friends did, but I still was very active in politics. And well, after a while, I went to college and I decided to study education because I thought that pedagogy could give me this idea of changing. I only thought that education could be a change tool. And I was very much inspired by two great Brazilian educators. One, I think, is probably known by many of you, Paulo Freire. Paulo Freire he believed that education is a tool for change, for liberation, for achieving consciousness. And his ideas were very strong and very widespread, and he was a very inspiring person. And also another one that's probably not as well known as him for you, but very well known in Brazil. He's called Anísio Teixeira. They're both dead now. And Anísio Teixeira wrote many books, and he was a municipal education officer. And his idea is that education is not a privilege. Everybody has the right to be educated. And everybody should have access to good quality education. So those were the two inspiring leaders I had during my college education. Well, I got married early, as usually at that time, and I married a wonderful man, a medical doctor, and he was a little older than I was. Well, same age difference up to now. I didn't get any older, and he didn't get any younger, but anyway, he was 9 years older than I am, and when I was finishing college, he got a scholarship to come to Boston for research fellowship at Mass General, the hospital attached to Harvard. And we had a baby. I was finishing college. We already had one baby boy. And yes, let's go. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I was just finishing my college education. And I came to the States and I applied for some colleges in Boston area. Of course, I had this idea that I wanted to go to Harvard. I never thought I could, but I applied for it. And wow, I got accepted. So I was there with my husband working hard, and I was in this college, Harvard. At that time, the rate was one woman for 4 men. and with a baby boy. So I decided to focus on early childhood education. I had nobody to talk about my baby, and I had to take care of him and study. So I said, I'll go into early education. And I took many courses, and I felt very privileged because I was with Bruner, Burton White, Sheldon White, Courtney Kasdan, brilliant minds that also inspired me a lot on working for education for all and liberating people. So my beliefs that I built from all this beginning was justice, equity, rights. Children are strong, children are capable, and they're the most important human project. Everything we do, it would be to make children develop well. So I came back to Brazil, and we moved to Brasilia to work, and my husband was invited to work in a government placement, and I applied for the university. I was teaching at the university in Brasilia, and then I worked at the Ministry of Education. They asked me to work as child development program. And then my eyes opened for, national policy. We could do so much when you're in government and when you have beliefs and when you want to do things. And this was really an opening of my mind and feeling the power of being able to do things. We lived in Brasilia for 10 years, and we did a lot. By that time, I had 5 children. So we came back to Bahia, and I decided I should work in the municipal level, because that's where things really happen. That's where children grow, that's where they get sick, that's where they develop, that's where they go to school. So I decided to work with the municipal education office, and it was a wonderful experience. It probably was the most rewarding experience I had in really doing things to change kids' lives. And after that, I decided that I had enough of public government and teaching and all that, and I wanted to work with people who had the same strong beliefs and could do a lot of things together. So we founded an NGO. It's 20 years now, and we work mainly with educational processes for children, teachers, people that work with children's rights. And it's a small organization, but it's a daring one. And we think high, we think big, and I think we can do a lot. And we joined the National Alliance for Early Childhood Education and Care in Brazil, which is a very strong alliance. We have 200 organizations. Tomorrow we'll talk about that in a session. And working at the National Alliance has been a wonderful thing. We were elected for the executive board on 2010 and 11. We served as the national secretary. And then we are in the executive board up to today. And the National Alliance has really made a difference in public policies in Brazil, helping to bring up subjects and to see children as a whole. So what I say, what's necessary to be a leader, a global leader, and I was very happy to be part of the Global Leader Program, and it really enhanced my view. It even enlarged my perspectives, and just to know so many wonderful people that are doing the same thing all over the world. When things are not so good at home, then I feel strong because I have so many friends. But I think you have to have knowledge, you have to have experience, you have to have passion, you have to search for partners, and you have to be open to negotiate, and you have to be flexible enough, but you have to know how far can you go in your flexibility, not to lose your standards. And so I think that's what makes me work for Global Leaders. It's because I want to make a difference, I want to change lives of children, and I want to build relationships that are strong and enduring. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Siniša Senad Music. I'm Roma coming from Croatia. I'm working as a country facilitator for Roma Education Fund, and I'm global leader. I had the plan to tell you a story, but I'm sitting here and looking all these people and asking myself what I'm doing here. How I get here? I mean, really, I received a phone call while I was on the funeral, and the lady asked me, you know, I'm sure that you are good for this program. Can I candidate you? And now I'm here and I'm thinking, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Oh my God, here is the people who are doing so much things for so many years, and I'm here like 3 years only. And thank you. And I was thinking, I don't want to tell a story. I'm here, so if you're going to have a question for me, I'm going to be here so you can ask me. But I was thinking, you know, what does it take to be a global leader? What does it mean? And I just sitting here and I think, you know, I think that we as a society, every of us, should do whatever it takes to ensure such environment where the children could reach their full potential. They should feel loved, they should feel secure. And if we have a courage to do anything on micro level, on local level, on national level, even global leader, that we are global leaders. And this is why I'm here, and this is I feel now comfortable. About the story, so yes, I'm from Croatia. So Croatia, a decade ago, she was it was a lawsuit. Oršić and others, called Oršić and others against Croatia, and Strasbourg Court for Human Rights decided that Croatia is guilty for segregation in education towards the Roma children. So Roma Education Fund, so this is the foundation, and I'm working for them now. They decided to enter the Croatia. They make partnership with the Ministry of Education and self-government of Međimurje County. This is the biggest region in Croatia, where is the biggest Roma population. And they said, okay, we will do preschool project, so we want to include the Roma children into the preschool education, because till then it was only 20 Roma in preschool education in whole Croatia. So yes, they started the program, and there was one Roma segregated settlement called Sitnica in the northern part of the Croatia, in town of the Mursko Središće. And it was awkward situation because the kindergarten, they asked us for help because they said, we have the capacity, we want Roma children. And a former country facilitator, I was not then working for the Roma Education Fund, they went into the settlement and they said to the community, yes, we have opportunity, please let your children into the preschool education. And it's very hard to explain the values of education to the people who don't have it. Actually, the whole population, they didn't even finish the primary school. And those women, Roma women, they need to be with the children. They want to keep the children here, you know, like the Croats women, they want to put it in the kindergarten, you know, but Roma women, they want to put it here. So we had a very big advocacy campaign, and we managed. So they led the children in the school. We paid the transportation. The children went to the kindergarten. It was integrated kindergarten with the quality education. And this is what is Roma education all about. And the goal of Roma Education Fund is to close the gap in the educational outcome between Roma and non-Roma. So after 7 years, we financed the transportation. Roma Education Fund gave me a task. He said to me, okay, we are paying now for 7 years for that. We need to see what is happening, what is the impact. And we did the research, and we saw that actually Roma children who went through the regular kindergarten full program from 7 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon, it was integrated, good quality, that they achieved better in the primary school. That those children didn't drop out from the school. They were not lacking behind their peers, non-Roma peers. So we had our research our data, and now we wanted to say, okay, but now we cannot pay the transportation forever. It should be somebody from the government, and this is actually our advocacy challenge. I was then working in civil society, not only for Roma Education Fund, but in civil society for 2 years. I was Roma with university degree, so it was very rare in Croatia, so we have only 20 students in whole Croatia, Roma students. And they asked me, can you do something? Now, how are we going to approach? So I get this data and say, okay, I am going to meet the mayor of the town. So I believe that if he sees the data, that those children are also living there. So they are not only Roma, but they are the Croatian citizenship. They are living in his town. But he said to me, you know, this is all good, but I will invest, I will pay transportation for them only if Roma Education or some other institution give me the money. I do not want to invest our money. I mean, it's not your money, it's Roma is also living there, so they are also paying the things. But okay, this is my first challenge. So I was lucky. I had lots of networking, and I used opportunity to arrange the meeting between Government Office for Human Rights. I was in the Commission for Monitoring National Strategy. I involved also the mayor of the county, Ministry of Education, and think what I did differently than others, that I involved the Roma parents at the meeting. And they were actually advocating for their children. I was only the tool. And we sat, and the thing is that I had all the decision makers. You know, when you want to advocate for something, everybody's saying, yes, okay, I will do that, but go meet other institution, go meet other. So I had all the stakeholders at the same table. And after the round of conversation, the guy said to me, like, from the mayor of the county, said, okay, we do not have the money, but this is what we do in Croatia, and especially Roma, they are always prepared. So I bring the paper. I said, okay, for this year, Roma Education will pay 30%. Government office will pay 50%. The 2 months is going to be like vacation, so we can do it, we can pay, and then actually you can put it in the budget for the next year. He said then yes, and actually we helped not only 30 children from those for this settlement, but generation to comes, because we made them to sign the paper that this transportation will be permanent, and it's in the cemented in the budget. So this is how we do it. Yeah. Thank you.
Marhaba, Sabah al-Khair, good morning everybody. I'm Rana Ismail from Lebanon, from the region where every kind of violence is going on. And I was asked to talk about my role as a global leader to provide better learning and development opportunities for the children at time of crisis. And my contribution was in planning, developing, and facilitating parental education programs and psychosocial support programs. The program I facilitated first was for a group of Palestinian mothers in the Palestinian refugee camp in Beirut. And this same program was re-implemented for a group of Syrian mothers in the refugee camp. Then, with a little adaptation, that was also implemented in Egypt, in a village in a marginalized area in Egypt. As for the psychosocial support program, first it was given or facilitated for a group of teachers and teacher supervisors who are responsible for the education of the Syrian children in the refugee camps in the east of Lebanon. The same program, ironically, was also facilitated also by me for the senior educators in the Ministry of Education in Syria, and they were preparing a psychosocial integrated program within the curriculum for the displaced children within Syria. The same program with minor adaptation was also implemented in the regional office of UNESCO in Beirut to a group of Yemen senior educators from Yemen who are curriculum developers, teachers, senior teachers, responsible for the teacher education and head of centers. Did I succeed? I would share with you some quotations that will answer how was the results, plus or minus, for these interventions. And I will start with a Palestinian mother quotation from the Palestinian Mother Group. Previously, my anger used to instigate aggression with my son, while now I use discussion and conversation, and I'm calmer. My son has become more positive, more confident, more honest, and less nervous. Open to express his thoughts and opinions, I myself have the guts to share my thoughts and opinions with others. I have benefited a lot from the information given in the program. And this program has drastically changed me. My relationship with my husband has improved. If I hadn't attended the program, I would have divorced him due to attitude reasons. That's what she said. And he admitted that. I go now to the Syrian mother from the Syrian Mothers Group. I lost my son in the war in Syria, and that was a big infliction. Being exposed to conflict resolution skills has helped me tackle the problem in a calm way using self-conversation. Moreover, I have become more patient and more optimistic. Actually, what we have learned in this program is the best thing: to stop aggression, cease anger, and diminish quarrels with husband and household. There are several effective methods which we were introduced to in this program, and that paved a new way to reach and achieve peace in our families. I go now to the Yemen group and listen to what they have to say. The most important achievement has been the change in our mood from that of frustration and despair to a sense of self-worth and importance in our community, in our ability to play a key role in improving the educational opportunities of Yemen's children. The program enabled us to exercise psychological and, listen to the word, emotional cleaning. We needed this type of activity, even if we could not bring about a radical change when we return home. Then at least we were able to get rid of our own negative emotions. We recognized the importance and value of feelings and the seriousness and risks that could result if one neglected dealing with them. And you know, in the Arab world, for an Eastern man to talk about emotions is something very special. And now the UNESCO regional office is preparing all the materials prepared for these programs to be a teacher handbook that could be a resource for all teachers that are now in the region, in countries where crisis is prevailing. My learned lesson. By the way, I'm a full-time head teacher, but my role as a global leader is completely separate. This work is separate from my job. My learned lesson was working with people in time of crisis. You cannot be a leader. You can be a leader in your vision, in your preparing, but not a leader when you are with the people. With the people, you have to show genuine empathy. You have to feel genuine empathy. And you have to express your own feelings. You have to show love. You have to show care. And you have to try to be positive even when you listen to their very distressing stories. If you are not able to let their negative feelings go out, to talk about their fears, about their despairs, about their worries, about their pain, they will not be ready to receive anything to learn. They will not be able to learn what to do with the children if they were not able to soothe their own selves, to be able to generate their own positive energy so that they can go and work with the children with a positive momentum and with a positive energy and a belief that they can do a difference. That's what I wanted to say, that in our region, there's a big need now for the World Forum to come nearer. We want them to be closer to what's going on and hope they will take this into consideration. One last thing, working with people in such situation will come through to your heart. So when you decide to be in proximity and working all the time and for a long period in your intervention, you have also to find a program that will keep you going on, to do something for your own self, not to let it reflect the depression on you. And I was sharing with my friends that coming to the forum was my own therapy journey, so that I regain this hope that we can have a better childhood in our region. And thank you.
Nisambul Vinaka. Okay. I bring to you all the warm greetings from my country in Fiji, and so as the Pacific region. Today, I also have a story to tell you and to share about this amazing program, the Global Leader for Young Children. I started off and I went and worked as to do my project, and of course, I chose to do advocacy because that's what global leaders do and how we were taught. And I'm wearing green because the green is the color that we do have in the Pacific Islands. When you see green, you remember the importance of early years of life. So I went on to do my work, and it took me out to the street because I know that what would be the best place to get everybody. You go out, you don't stay inside. So we did that. We went into the colors that we picked, like I mentioned, as green. That was still not enough. So when it was time to come and present our project with my best friend, Milika, and so I went back and exactly like what Mark had mentioned, what else can I do? I don't want to be just an advocate and stop here. I want to do more things. So we went on from there, and we decided that we will go and reach the disadvantaged communities in our countries. Now in Fiji, because of my region, it does have people from some of the islands that have moved into Fiji, and they are from Kiribati descendants. They've moved here and live in our country in Fiji. So we have a lot of disadvantaged children, though our government have really recognized in the part of our work that we've been doing for advocating for the importance of early years. So our government is very generous and see that the 5-year-old to be in the school as well, and they are covered by the government except the 0 to the 4 years old. So we went on from there and we continue. Even that is free, there are still parents and there's still children that are out in the community that's far from them. It may be free to them, but it's very hard for the parents to understand that these children here need to go to school because what is important to them is to find something to eat, and that for their older children to look after the little ones. So we go in and we called that our service to be the mobile kindy. So we have our own school, which we thought if we start up all this model school and we make lots of money in Fiji and the Pacific, then we can get some of the money there, then we can reach out the disadvantaged children. That was slow. I need something a little bit faster. So then we go, okay, we cannot do this. Yes, networking. World Forum is known for relationship. Yes, we did that. So we work with all our parents. Our school, we have another school now, so we've been serving our communities for about 22 years now. So we went and we thought, all right, this is not going to happen. It's a bit slow. So we go out and we do. We need to go and talk to the people out there. Now, that's the biggest thing that I know in the third world country, developing country, including my country, is always funding. And I know when we talk about, okay, how sustainability, how are you going to sustain your program? Or how are you going to sustain your project that is going to be going? So I always say it's not a project. When I work with global leaders, this is not a project, everybody, this is a program. So because you will need to help me. So what I did, I just want to encourage everyone from the third world country, from the developing countries, there are wealth in your country. So that, and we need to tap into those people, even though they are not from your country, but they've come in to invest because they love your country. So we've got a lot of great business people in Fiji because they love to come and have business and live there in Fiji. So I go out and I ask if I could sit in one of their meetings, because my idea is that if I share my thoughts about the importance of early years, of course they love Fiji. I'm sure they're going to share their resource with me. So I went out and I sat in. Oh yeah, I was surprised that he said, yes, Annalesi, you can come in and sit here. Surprisingly, when I went in, half of the people that were sitting there, I taught their children. Oh, I win by point. 1 point for me. See, where did I learn that? I learned from World Forum. We honor each other. Relationship, you will go far. So I went in and I sat down. I said, okay, Annalesi, what would you like to share? 2 things in this, when we go out to be a global leader, there's 2 great things. The transformation power of early childhood, and the second one is climate change in our region. So I sat in and I said, I have to be convinced first that the only way to help any country in the world is through access to high quality early care and education. So I was so convinced, so I went in and I sat in. So I said, okay, Annalesi, you come and share your story. So I went in and I shared and I said, Annalesi, we are going to help you. This one here, they own transport. This one here, if you need anything, you go to this one. So that's how we got a transport mobile kindy. And I must encourage all of us, they also do have their own network among themselves. So they said, you go to Total, and Total will help you fill the fuel. See, I do not have to get all the money, but the resources are out there. And they said, Annalesi, it's very important. Do not buy, don't let anybody come and buy the vehicle. Let them lease it. Find somebody else. So they go out and find somebody else through their own network as business people to come and pay the fuel. So now there's a vehicle waiting for us so that we can transport all the resources and we reach out to the disadvantaged community. So funding, it's in our country. Wealth is in our land. You look in, look deeper. If the door is closed, look to the window. If the window is closed, clear out all the cobwebs, look through, look deeper. It's there in your land. Be encouraged, we'll do this together. So then I thought, okay, now I'm a bit okay in the country, I need to go to the region. What is it there? It's climate change. Now, when we hear, in the Pacific, when we hear climate change, it means our identity, it means our language, it means that everything is going to be taken away from us. So it is something that is very dear to us because we feel it, we know, we see it every day, and the children knows it. So we need to take down and reach the children as well. So what we do, okay, then I thought, okay, I'm okay now with the national. Now I need to find somebody that can help me reach my region. So I go out to the UNICEF Pacific. They found us in the street. They said, who are those people with the green outfit? We want to meet with them. Okay, that's us. So we went in and also we met with them. Today, they taught us, Annalise, you get your own organization, charity. So today we registered our child benefit organization, charity that can reach the regional. And you know, they've signed us out to be the official implementation partner in the Pacific Islands. So in that way, we will be able to reach them. Then I just heard, so I keep on looking at and here things are. So I just heard that they have signed something with the World Bank. So that means not only regional, now you go to the world. So global leaders. So we are going to come out, not only our region, but we think of other children that have to move. There's a lot of great movements of our families moving around the world globally, and we need to do something about it. There's always hope. Look deep, look deeper. If you were walking, today we need to run. If we've been running, today we have to fly. Thank you. Okay. So I just need to take 1 second to just explain about what I'm wearing. It's a salu salu, and it was so great to hear Mr. Manning just mention about honor, how we honor each other. In our culture, we want to have that, to have a culture of honor. So you see how we pass it on, because we honor each other as a leader, as a global leader, and how much they work in their country, and that's why we're wearing salu salu. And thank you for honoring my culture.
Good morning. I will start by quoting a very famous person that most of us know, Dr. Martin Luther King. He says, "True compassion is not the continuous giving of alms to a beggar, but it is the realization that the edifice which produces beggars needs restructuring." So that is something that has been in my heart, because when you see people begging, the problem is not the people that are begging, but the systems that have made sure that people continue to beg. So I come from Swaziland, and in Swaziland, like many of the countries, we have a very controversial or very difficult financial situations, whereby you have other people who are very rich and you have other people who are very poor. And so there are these income inequalities. And in Swaziland, like most of African countries, most of the ECD work that is done by volunteers who in some cases are not paid and in some cases are not even trained. So in 2015, I took up on something which I call financial inclusion. So I went out to 4 communities that were being reached by the program that I was working on. So I went out to the 4 communities with this idea of including people, because we realized that when people are in financial difficulties, most of the time they will go to someone who is going to borrow them money. And then most of the time the money they borrow, it comes with a very high interest rate. And most of the time you will find that when they try to pay back the money, it's not so easy. They have to get another loan to pay the initial loan, and then get another loan to pay the second loan. So then it becomes a cycle whereby people are unable to recover from it. So we came up with this model, savings groups model. And we went out to these communities with this model. And we were saying to people, you can form up groups where you can come together and save your money. Save from whatever you have, the little money that you have. People will tell you that we don't have money. But if you tell them, if you try to explain to them that the little things that you buy in life, people are able to buy airtime. People are able to buy very little things. So why don't they save some of that so that they're able to, reach out later and get the money and get a loan and be able to meet their financial needs? So what happened is when we start these savings groups, it's groups of 10 to 20 people who have a common interest, who have a common economic status, who are going to come together and discuss and form their committee and form their own group. So we went with the groups, and when they save the money, they are able to borrow from the scheme, and when they borrow from the scheme, they are able to do different things that they need. They're able to pay for their children's education. They're able to get a bus and go to a clinic so that they're able to get assisted. So they're able to do many things because of the financial muscle that they now have, because of the scheme that they have. So I was there for about 6 months, and we did the program for 6 months. And we were able to start 20 groups. And these 20 groups were able to get about 400 people saving money in their groups. And in the end of that 6 months, they had collected about $40,000 US. And they were able to give to each other loans to the value of $80,000. So don't ask me about the mathematics. I think there's a magic that goes on. Yeah, we might explain if you want us to explain, but it happens like that. So you get this money, and then when you come and borrow, you get a loan, and then you come later, you get another loan. So it's if you paid the other loan. So now that we have done this, people were able to meet their financial needs, and they are able to send their children to school, and they are able to pay for they are able to get food, they are able to get things that they needed. And so we were so impressed by that. And in the end of the program, the people are able to share whatever they have saved there, because the interest that they collect is not going to an institution. It's their interest. So whatever you pay in the form of interest is part of your program. So I realized that maybe we should start talking about savings, even in the World Forum, because most of us, we are coming from very poor communities where it's not easy to come up with any financial model that can be used, to boost people, to make sure that people are motivated, to make sure that people continue to volunteer their services. So things like saving schemes, they're able to improve the lives of people so that people are able to access certain things. Thank you very much.
Hello, good morning. After listening to Mark, you should know that if you are going to redo your will, your testament, you shouldn't invite him. Because we will say, what about me? So, after listening to some stories in these days, I've been thinking that, before coming here, I used to think that I was special in some sense. Now I feel like more ordinary man. So it's a kind of a humility therapy to come here. That's fine. Maybe it's one of the reasons I'm in the World Forum and in the Global Leaders. And this is that I own a school. I created the school 25 years ago, and I'm the principal. And I'm very used to, say what is going to be done and set the goals and the pace and all that. And coming here is about following, not being the chief. It's about trying to understand others, trying to adapt, trying to be flexible. And it's like my yin-yang thing. too much for being the principal in my school. So I have to be other things also, I have several sayings for the school. One of my sayings is that regarding education, we are very serious. We let the children play. From that saying, you will sense that I like paradoxes and dilemmas. Another way that I usually describe the school when people come to ask, and the person who is in charge of that asks me to talk with the parents, and many times I describe my school like an exotic school. So they have a question mark. What am I trying to say when I say that? And one of the points is that we work with curiosity. So we don't tell the whole story all the time, just part. And then we let the imagination of the other people to start working. Okay, in Mexico, the value that is most mentioned in education is respect. And, respect here, respect there, and that's fine. But I say that respect is not enough. I say respect is friend of indifference. I can respect you and do nothing about your needs. I'm just respecting you. I always put this example that, you are walking, you get out of here and you walk to your car, and some guy is, in the acera, in the sidewalk, sleeping there or something. Most people just, go around, step down, step up, and keep their way. They respected the guy. They kept their sleep going, but nothing else. So I think it's indispensable to work for generosity and consideration. And we try to do that all the time with our students. And not generosity of, going to somewhere and donate things, or generosity with the guy you have next to you. A daily generosity. So, since I'm a teacher and I like examples, I'm going to tell a story about children. This happens a few years ago with two little girls around 4 or 5 years old. One was Maria, the other was Victoria. I was in my office. There is a playing ground next to it. And I was working. At some point, I heard someone crying. So I walk out, and then I called the girls. There were 4 girls in the little house playing there. They came out, and I said, what happened? And one of the girls said, Maria hit Victoria. Then I addressed Maria, said, did you hit Victoria? And she said, yes. And I thought to myself, she's honest. Then I asked Victoria, what happened? Well, Maria hit me because I said I wanted to be the mother. And and I don't like it, it's not fair. And then I said, have you told this to Maria? No? Well, tell her. So Maria was right there, but she turned around, looked at her eyes, says, I'm angry because you hit me because I said I wanted to be the mother, and it's not fair. And then I thought, this is an articulate little girl. Okay, and at that moment, the most usual thing to do in Mexico would be to time out, Well, Maria, you're going to sit, 10 minutes there. You're going to think how to be a nice girl and, very educated. And when you reach out your conclusion, then you can keep playing with that girl, no? Something like that. But the point here is something more important than that. Maria is confused. She's in a win-lose situation. How do we change this perspective? Then I said, Maria, are you sure? Why did you hit Victoria? Because she wanted to be the mother. Because there only can be one mother, so I cannot be the mother. And I said, are you sure that there only can be one mother? And she said, yes. And then I said, in your house there is only one mother? And she said, yes, my mother. Well, let me think, Maria. Does your mother has friends? Yes. And does your mother friends sometimes go to your home? Yes. Do they bring their daughters with them? Yes. So the mothers talk with the mothers and the girls play with the other girls? Yes. Well, Maria, then I think there can be more than one mother in one house. And then Maria opened her eyes like this and said, yes, there can be more than one mother in one house. And then she took Victoria and they started playing. So she changed her perspective from a win-lose situation to a win-win situation. So even generosity goes through cognitive conflict. And you have to think deep to change perspectives and have conversations with children. I would say that what we do in our school is to listen and have great conversations. And these conversations change perspectives and attitudes. And we collect these stories to tell it to the teachers, to the parents, and to the global leaders, and to the people from the World Forum, because these stories make people think. And regarding all the stories I have heard, I come to the conclusion that the global leaders are kind of chameleons, chameleones, no? You know, they change so much, you know, here and there to fulfill the purpose. So I have 7 chameleons here. I hope I have 700 other chameleons there. Thank you very much.
Want to acknowledge the wonderful global leaders. The panel will be in a follow-up session at 11 o'clock in the Marlborough 1 and 2 rooms. Joan Lombardi, our good friend, will be coordinating an additional discussion. So if you want to keep talking with us, please join us there. So thank you.
So we can give another round of applause to the World Forum of Global Leaders. Yes, cheer them. Yes, they all are creating the difference in the world on behalf of World Forum Foundation. So let's give a big applause to the World Forum Foundation too. So, you know, all the stories are for the children. So children are the most precious things in the world. We all are working for the children's improvement, for their development, and for their inspiration. So for the children, with the children, and keep the children in our heart. So without children's performance, how could we think our program? So now, the Windsor Primary School in New Zealand are proud to share their culture with us today. The program led by teacher Gerard Wedford. and they will come to share with us the culture of their school. So I think they're somewhere here. Yes, please give a big welcome to them, to the children in the world, yes. Yes, a big applause to them. The new Windsor School Kupahaparupu. Yes, the children are joining. So the new Windsor School Kupahakarupu. Thank you. Enjoy.
Shift over a bit. Kai whakaia, shift over a bit. Shift over a bit. Okay. Boys, come back a bit. Front row, come back a bit. Just come back a bit. Okay, you can go up the front. Just slowly. Kia ora tātou. Kia ora, ngā mihi mo tō koutou paki ki a mātou.
Ko tēnei tā mātou honore, ki te tai mai a tinana ki Wainganui o koutou, mo tēnei kaupapa haka hira hira. Hoi no, ko te tūmana ko mō koutou, e uhi mai mo tēnei kaupapa kia pai o koutou hui, mai te timatanga taino ki te mutunga, nā mātou te kura tuatahi o New Windsor e mihi atu nei o koutou, tēnā koutou, huri noa te whare, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora.
How about another round of applause for those great kids? Woo! And now let's welcome our friend all the way from Colombia, Marisa Uribe. Yes.
Thank you. I'm here today with a very special news for all of you. And I want to have like a connection with Rana to tell her that not all hope is lost. This video was made specially to be presented in this World Forum. The physical presence of the First Lady of Colombia was frustrated by a family commitment, but technology allows her to be with us today, telling you about Colombian state policy for the integral development of early childhood. A true alliance between the state, the civil society, and entrepreneurs resulted in what you know how the saying goes. Yes, you can. Sí se puede. Starting in 2013 with the Child Adolescence Law that guarantees the full rights of children and their integral protection, this first law, for example, permitted to process cases of abuse of all kinds against children under 5 years of age. It has allowed as well the immediate untithing of children in the armed conflict of Colombia. Both these laws were promulgated during the most difficult years of our Colombian society, wiped by drug traffic and armed conflict. But it was through advocacy, organized teamwork, and political will that today Colombians can say, sí se puede, yes, you can. From Colombia, we invite all countries advocating for similar laws to join our files in the Yes, You Can path. Thank you.
Quiero enviarles a todos un saludo muy especial y decirles que me alegró mucho haber recibido esta invitación de parte de un país situado a miles de kilómetros de Colombia, pero que comparte con el nuestro la exuberancia de su paisaje y la calidez de su gente. Como no pude acompañarlos, preparé para ustedes este video en el que quiero contarles qué hacemos en nuestro país por los niños en primera infancia.
¿Por qué Colombia ha creado una ley para la primera infancia?
Desde el momento en que mi esposo, Juan Manuel Santos, asumió la presidencia de Colombia en agosto del 2010, se estableció la atención integral de la primera infancia como una de las prioridades para avanzar en el cierre de las brechas de inequidad y reducción de la pobreza extrema. Partimos de un enfoque de derechos y de una evidencia científica que confirma que la inversión en la primera infancia es la que tiene la mayor tasa de retorno social y económico para cualquier país. Las estadísticas sobre la situación de salud, pobreza, educación y bienestar de nuestros niños nos indicaron que un número importante de ellos estaba lejos de alcanzar el desarrollo integral y que era urgente tomar medidas al respecto. Consciente de esto, el Gobierno Nacional diseñó y puso en marcha la Estrategia Nacional de Atención Integral a la Primera Infancia de 0 a siempre. Para implementar esta estrategia, se creó la Comisión Intersectorial para la Atención Integral de la Primera Infancia, conformada por 11 entidades del Gobierno Nacional que de manera articulada coordinan esquemas de gestión y ejecución de la política, convocan a los sectores de la sociedad para establecer alianzas estratégicas y articulan las acciones necesarias para hacer realidad la atención integral.
Entre 2010 y 2016, la gestión de la Comisión logró fortalecer las capacidades institucionales de las gobernaciones y alcaldías para la implementación de la política de primera infancia, asegurar condiciones de calidad en la atención integral de cerca del 50% de los niños más vulnerables del país, cualificar el talento humano que trabaja por la infancia, movilizar voluntades para que más actores de la sociedad civil, las entidades de cooperación, la academia y la comunidad se comprometan con nuestro propósito, realizar estudios y evaluaciones que proveen evidencias para tomar decisiones, crear un sistema de seguimiento niño a niño que permite conocer qué atenciones recibe cada niño y en cuáles hay diferencias que se deben subsanar.
Adicionalmente, el 24 de mayo del 2016, el Congreso de la República aprobó la Ley 1804 que transformó la estrategia de 0 a siempre en una política de Estado.
¿Cuál es su propósito?
El propósito de esta ley es establecer en nuestra nación la política de Estado para el desarrollo integral de la primera infancia de 0 a siempre, que refleja una postura institucional y de largo plazo del Estado colombiano frente a la atención de los niños en primera infancia. Estamos dejándole al país las bases conceptuales y técnicas, los roles institucionales y las acciones estratégicas para garantizar el goce efectivo de los derechos de estos niños, así como de las mujeres en estado de embarazo. Hoy, el gobierno tiene la responsabilidad de que la totalidad de los niños que nacen en Colombia cuenten con las condiciones necesarias para un desarrollo óptimo y para que vivan a plenitud desde el momento de su concepción. El Estado debe garantizar la atención integral para la primera infancia de forma permanente y sostenible.
¿Cómo se convirtió en una prioridad?
Como les conté, la población en primera infancia se convirtió en una prioridad a partir de los resultados de investigaciones y de estudios científicos y económicos realizados en el mundo, muchos de los cuales aseguran que una buena calidad de vida durante la niñez se refleja en la vida adulta y, en consecuencia, en el crecimiento y desarrollo de un país. Numerosas investigaciones demostraron que durante la gestación y los primeros 6 años de vida se desarrolla aproximadamente el 80% de las conexiones cerebrales. Esto significa que, si bien el desarrollo ocurre a lo largo de la vida, durante la primera infancia se sientan las bases para que las capacidades, habilidades y potencialidades de cada persona se vayan haciendo cada vez más complejas. Por lo mismo, garantizar los derechos de la primera infancia ayuda a romper el círculo de la pobreza que pasa de generación a generación. El gobierno colombiano entendió que debía hacer una gran inversión de recursos humanos, técnicos y financieros para crear o mejorar las condiciones que hacen posible el desarrollo integral de los niños, y así lo ha hecho en los últimos 6 años, pero el esfuerzo público no es suficiente. Por eso se han hecho alianzas con diferentes sectores de la sociedad que han dado resultados importantes en materia de innovación, calidad e integralidad. Con una inversión cercana a los $4.000 millones, entre 2010 y 2016, el gobierno logró atender integralmente a más de 1.200.000 niños que estaban en condiciones de vulnerabilidad. También se hicieron inversiones para la construcción y mejoramientos de la infraestructura, acceso a bienes y servicios culturales y la formación de agentes educativos de salud y cultura en todo el territorio colombiano.
¿Cuál es la conexión entre la ley de la primera infancia, los acuerdos de paz y la historia de Colombia?
En el acuerdo de paz alcanzado entre el Gobierno Nacional y el grupo guerrillero de las FARC, se contemplan los derechos de los niños como un aspecto fundamental para la construcción de la convivencia y se destaca la paz como un derecho humano superior, indispensable para el ejercicio de todos los demás derechos de las personas. La terminación del conflicto armado significa el final de más de 5 décadas de absurda confrontación que convirtieron a muchos niños colombianos en víctimas de la violencia, el desplazamiento y la pérdida de sus seres queridos. También representa la apertura de un nuevo capítulo en nuestra historia en el que podemos fomentar una mayor integración de nuestros territorios y una mayor inclusión social. Lo que vivimos hoy en Colombia, con la paz, es un nuevo amanecer, un nuevo comienzo que debe empezar por garantizar los derechos y la atención integral, allí donde empieza la vida misma, en la primera infancia.
We're supposed to make some farewell remarks, but these are really hello remarks to the rest of the day. But I think we got off to a pretty good start. We heard the powerful stories of the global leaders. We heard a message of hope from the First Lady of a country whose government seems to get it, which can perhaps lift us up sometimes when we feel there are many that don't get it. And we also heard the beautiful and powerful music that must be the most powerful ratio of music to a kilogram of body weight that exists anywhere on earth. Weren't they unbelievable? I don't know how it is in other countries around the world, but in my country, when you have a group of school children that give a singing performance, it's a bunch of boys that you know are only there because their mother forced them. And it's to have the power that those young children bestowed on us was just absolutely wonderful. So we'll now head for our next breakout session. We can make some progress over the next 45 minutes of finding our 10 friends for life. I'm asked to tell you that there's food and refreshments not only in the 5th floor where we are, but down on the 4th floor, so you can spread out and maybe have a low enough population density that we'll be able to hear each other. And thank you so much for participating in this start to an absolutely wonderful Day 3 of the World Forum of 2017. Thanks.